There we go. Come on. Come on. Come on. Yo! Tom Fiddzy here with my review and my initial thoughts of WandaVision episode 5. I've literally just watched it. And this episode, I thought the last episode was really good. At first I was like, WandaVision, I wasn't really into it. Very bold move going with those first 3 episodes. Then we got last week's episode where we actually started getting into S.W.O.R.D. We got out of the Hex, as it's now being known, the dome, the Truman style dome over Westview. We got out of that. We started going and learning more about what's going on outside with S.W.O.R.D., with Jimmy Woo, with Darcy, with Monica Rambeau. Now we're going back into the dome and got a lot more questions with a big episode over 30 minutes. It was like 40 minutes, 41, but there was like 7 minutes of credits in this show. It wasn't as long as it originally looked. I was actually surprised because I thought they were all going to be like 20 minutes. Like those first ones were perfectly matching like the old sitcom style length. But then, this one now, it's very much a hybrid style show. I honestly thought that we were going to go back after last week's big reveals and stuff, that we were just going to go back into it being more of a sitcom. And at first, it looked like we were getting that because we saw that the era had changed. They all had big hair, and they were with the kids. And I was like, okay, here we go. It's just going to be like another one of those episodes. But very early on, we started seeing some weird stuff going on when Agatha's character kind of broke out of character and acted like it was a TV show. Very Truman Show, she was like, oh, do you want to take that scene again? Because Vision, he was starting to cotton on to some weird things. And but this time though, Wanda didn't do that. She's actually trying to hold back from kind of controlling it there and just letting things flow naturally. And instead it created this weird tension. But I was really glad to see that very early on. So I was like, okay, good. So we're not actually having to sit through whole episodes of like a fake sitcom like we did in the first few episodes with just a few little hints. We're getting like straight into the fact that this is weird. And we kept getting them throughout this episode. And thankfully we also jumped out. We still got like the old style sitcom opening. And this time it was another different one for every episode where we're in the sitcom world. It goes over my head because I don't really know the references. I'm sure it is heavily based on some American sitcom, and a lot of people are like, hey, I used to watch that show. But for me, until we get to like the era of Cheers, that is when I first started watching US style sitcoms. So hopefully we'll get to that one. I'd love to have one of the later episodes where they're just chilling in a bar. That would be great. Let's get a Cheers episode. Could even have like one of them just turn up or something. How cool would it be if you have like Ted Danson just behind the bar, just as like a reference? Anyway, so I didn't really get that. I didn't really get what the opening was. But then we started getting straight back into that sitcom thing. But weird things were happening. The kids grew up really quickly, and who's clearly going to be Agatha Harkness, but the neighbor Agatha, she was Agnes, sorry, she was there as well, and you could tell that she's a little bit different, I think, to some of the other people in the town, because she wasn't responding to the fact that the kids were growing up really quickly. Wanda seems like a little bit more relaxed around her. She even demonstrated her powers in front of her later on in the episode, when the dog turned up. And she's always like turning up very scripted, as we know that she is kind of following a script, because she was like, do you want me to do this scene again? With Vision, do you want me to hold the kids? But it just feels like she's popping up way too much, and Wanda's being very relaxed around her, and she's too heavily involved in the story for me to think that. And also Vision's a suspect of her as well. Just like all of us YouTubers, Vision is a YouTuber within the show as well, kind of trying to figure it out, just like Jimmy Woo was on the outside. And Vision, he's got like his own theories going on, and he's got suspicions on the neighbor, and even to the point of predicting that she's going to turn up and she's going to have everything that is needed for that particular thing. It was great seeing Vision figure it out. But later on in the episode, they get a dog called Sparky in this, and she finds the dog dead. Now, I think that is actually a really important scene. When I first saw that, I was like, isn't it a bit strange that she found the dog dead? I didn't know that eating azalea leaves is apparently very bad for dogs. I got azalea leaves in my garden. Should I do something about that? in like this world that Wanda kind of controls, it's weird that the dog would be allowed to get killed, and that, oh, look who it was who found the dead dog. And then there was just this probing of, can you bring people back to life? Like, so I'm wondering if this is Agatha Harkness. Maybe she is, because Wanda even says in this episode later on, I wasn't the one who originally was controlling this, and I'll talk more about all of that stuff later on as well. But I'm wondering if she is wanting to bring someone back as well, or she is manipulating Wanda. There's clearly something going on with her. I think the fact that it kept hinting about dead characters, bringing dead characters back to life, that is something that is going on. That is something that whoever is actually controlling Wanda is trying to do, and that will have some big implications for the story if she can bring people back to life. This is the problem when you do it all live. Gonna swap hands right here. Right, 1 second. All right. So yeah, very interesting stuff with Agnes. Still no confirmation. Is it Agnes or Agatha? Agnes. She's gonna be Agatha Harkness anyway, but yeah, so that was really cool. I think that there is some deep stuff going on in there. Let's talk about Wanda, because for the most part of this episode, it is made to look like Wanda is the bad guy. And we have that great scene where she busts out of the TV with the sword people and is basically going to kill that guy who was like being like a bit of a dick to her, bringing up all of the past stuff with her. You know, we got a little callback as to her character. Oleg, I think was the name of her father, not Magneto. But yeah, so she comes out and she's made to look like the villain, and I was like, that's really cool. We see footage of her breaking in and stealing Vision's body, confirming that Vision's body is in there. So she has somehow remade Vision. Obviously, earlier on, they were talking about, can you bring people back to life? Bringing Vision back to life is a lot different to bringing back actual humans. But it seems like she can also make humans, because we get some confirmation-ish about the kids, that there's no they haven't got any identity on who the kids are. There is very possible that they have been remade. We get this stuff with the dress, that the dress is bulletproof, that Monica Rambeau was wearing, and it's bulletproof because it used to be a bulletproof vest and it's been reformed. So that's some grim implications about those kids. If they were created, what were they created from? Vision brings up the good point that there are no kids in the town, and Wanda seems to be saying that she wasn't aware of that stuff. So yeah, if somebody else is working with her as well, that could be another sign that maybe it isn't entirely Wanda. Because yeah, the end, it was just confusing, where it's made to look like she is the one in control. When we see her bust out, she is in control. When you see her on the CCTV stealing Vision's body, she is in control. And then at the end, when she's like breaking down, she's arguing with Vision, she's kind of admitting, and I love that it was going on, by the way, as the credits were rolling, as you know, as if they were just breaking the script of the TV thing at that point. And you know, it was all like unplanned, but it was still going on as like Wanda had planned, like it was like an outtake or something. I thought that was really good. But yeah, she was just like, no, this is my world. You know, I've created this. I'm happy. And then when she's fighting with Vision, she's just like, I'm doing this for us, but I also didn't create it. I didn't really know how it all got started. So, like I said, this is my first kind of video on it, and it's interesting now, isn't it? It's an interesting show now. At first, I was not convinced, because I wasn't really enjoying it as just a US style sitcom. But now there's so much to talk about. Now there's so many questions. You know, who is controlling Wanda? How much control does she actually have? How much are her own memories her own? You know, and obviously Vision as well. He seems to be created, but he's still probably underneath that shell, still like the mangled body of Vision. But was he like a test at bringing people back to life? Start off with like a symphozoid that they call Vision. So start off bringing a symphozoid back. Test 1, you know, maybe test 2, create the kids, I guess. Like brand new people from scratch. And test 3 seems to be what we got at the end of this episode with the return of Quicksilver. I'll talk about that in a little bit. So test 4, I'm guessing, is bringing people back fully from the dead. And is that potentially something that whoever is controlling Wanda also wants? So yeah, really good stuff going on. And that ending as well with Quicksilver. So with Quicksilver has come back, but not as the Quicksilver we know from the MCU. It's the Quicksilver that we know from the X-Men universe, playing a recast version of, because they even referenced that in that. They've recast Quicksilver? Yeah, recast version of Quicksilver, like the MCU version of it. So it's the X-Men one playing the MCU one. And I think that's really cool. Wanda reacts to Quicksilver as, oh my god, you're Quicksilver. So she very quickly like acknowledges it. So yeah, is this like the next test in that? How much of the MCU Quicksilver is in that, or is it just a brand new person with maybe some of the memories in there, some of the personality, and is the next stage getting an actual real, like a full person who looks the same, with all the same memories, with all the same personality, going on from like the moment that they died back to living? And if that does happen, could we end up with 2 Quicksilvers in the show? That would be really cool to see both of them, and wonder what's going to happen after this. Though, you know, is the X-Men Quicksilver going to stay around? I was convinced because there was rumors that the actor was cast in the show. I thought that when Wanda's kids grow up, one of them will be a superhero called Speed, and I was like, oh well, when he grows up, he'll just be playing Speed, even though he like kind of looks like the Quicksilver from the X-Men one, and that would be like a cool reference. I wasn't actually expecting him to come back as Quicksilver without it being like a Quicksilver from like an alternate dimension or something. So I was really happy with that twist at the end, and I'm excited to see if we are going to get the MCU one back as well. And also, speaking of like Quicksilver and all that, and like MCU, earlier on in this episode, they would mention that there is no alias for Scarlett Witch. She's just known as Maximoff. So at the end of this, will she actually get her nickname, get her thing as the Scarlet Witch? Will that actually come up? We've got Hex being mentioned a lot and her Hex powers. So are we going to start getting into their names and stuff at the end of this as well? That would be really cool, because yeah, it's about time that Wanda becomes the Scarlet Witch with her powers known as her powers from the comic books, and her like costume and stuff from the comic books. And could this series lead us to that? Then when we get into like Doctor Strange and stuff, she is a full Scarlet Witch, and she's kind of gone through that journey of becoming that character. So yeah, you can see by the smile on my face, probably by the length of this video, that I'm very excited now for this series. I really now wish that it is not weekly. Originally I was like, I wish it was all out at once because I think the first episodes are boring. Now I want it all at once because I'm so intrigued as to what's going on. I love the fact that the formula now is still a sitcom, but it's not for the most part. You know, that they're just in that sitcom world, but more weird stuff is going on. I still think it was a very brave choice, just having the first 3 episodes basically mostly as pure sitcom. But I'm so glad that we're still cutting in and out of the real world and stuff. And yeah, that one that even came out of the Hex Stone. So really, really good stuff. Lots of references as well to other elements in the MCU and outside of the MCU now with the Quicksilver stuff. So yeah, keep eyes on The Neighbour, and I'm really excited to see where the rest of the show goes. I honestly think that it could go anywhere, to be honest. We've still seen a few things that we haven't seen from the trailers where Wanda does actually put her main costume on, but yeah, I think there's a lot of secrets being kept in this too. So excellent episode of WandaVision. I think this was my favorite one so far. Hyped for the next few. Sorry if the beginning of this review was a little bit more talking around all over the place. This is what happens when you just press record. This is how I like to do. I don't want to sit there and think about it too much. I just like to watch the episode and just share my thoughts and my excitement with you. Let me know what you thought of this, of my thoughts of this episode, your own like views on the episode, your own theories and stuff. What do you think's going on? Is everything that we've been seeing all like tests that has Wanda or somebody else has been running to kind of get someone back to life? Who is the person that they want to get back to life? Is it this Arthur person? There are rumors that it could be Mephisto, who is working in the background. Maybe this Mephisto character has died in the MCU, or is like stuck somewhere and hasn't got a physical body or whatever, and they're using Wanda to try and create that. Maybe, who knows? Exciting stuff. Could this even be a way of getting some other dead characters back as well? Yeah, interesting stuff. Bye!